It, Andy Muschietti's film from 2017. So I want to start like a series, or I don't know if I'll call it a series, but I just want to start revisiting films that I love every month or so, sometimes maybe less, whenever I'm in the mood for that particular film. So I'm not gonna force it or anything. So yeah, whenever I get the feelings, the vibes, or whatever to revisit a film, I'm gonna revisit it, and if I feel like I have something to say, or if I feel like someone might share my thoughts or want to know my thoughts, I'm gonna make a video about it. So this movie kind of impacted me a lot. It in a lot of different ways. So it came out when I was around 18 years old, and I remember when the marketing was being done when I was around 17. And I remember I was still in high school, and I remember being in my auto shop class, and I think I'm the one who was like, "Holy crap, the trailer just dropped!" Just because I always used to be in the know with those sort of things, and you know, horror is a genre just like superhero films that almost all young people can get behind. You know, everyone wants to be a part of it. Everyone is at least mildly, superficially interested in it. So I remember, I mean, I wasn't popular, but I knew all the guys in my class, and I remember telling a couple friends that the trailer just dropped or the teaser, and little by little, everyone kind of huddled around my old phone at the time, or my I think it was an iPod, and all of us were just so drawn to this trailer, and then the scene when the projector is it's like changing really fast, and you see Pennywise revealing himself. I remember all of us being freaked out and loving it and just being so excited. I was so hooked, and I had never read the book. I still haven't read the book, but you know, it's one of those books that everyone's heard about. When the movie came out, I saw it, and I remember really liking it, but just liking it, being freaked out. At that time in my life, I wasn't watching a lot of horror, so I was kind of like whatever's about it. I remember just liking it and moving on with my life, watching the usual. And then I found myself wanting to rewatch it again and just thinking about it. And then when it came out, I would watch it, and I liked it. And then when part two came out, um, I liked it, but the first one's definitely better to me, and that's a whole other topic. I think part two. I haven't read the book, so I can't say for sure, but I think part two might be an example of when you adapt a book too faithfully and it doesn't transfer to film. But again, that's just my uninformed opinion or impression. Anyways, so since 2018 or around there, I've been rewatching this movie fairly routinely, and I've just grown to really, really love it. And to my kind of surprise, because I don't passionately love horror films. That's not necessarily my favorite genre. I get a kick out of this movie, and it is interesting, I think, how younger people get really drawn to Pennywise as a character. I've actually scoured the internet a little bit about that to see if there's been a study or something, and I haven't found anything. I hope there is one, because I've come across many different younger people that have an interest in Pennywise. I have some little cousins that randomly were bringing him up, and they're like iPad kids, you know? And I'm like, what the hell? How do you even know Pennywise? And I'm like, have you seen the movie? And they're like, no. But they just know about him, and they seen a bunch of clips, and I'm just like, why? I have a friend that has a little stepbrother, same thing. Anyways, my point is that I've just seen it multiple times, and it's just an interesting phenomenon there. That, anyways, something about Pennywise is very attractive to not just me, but to a lot of people. When it comes down to the film, to the actual film, I've been wanting to like talk about that, to explore that, why I like it so much. And I've realized that most horror films, they like to put the monster, the killer, the whatever, in the shadows. Less is more. And I feel like Jaws, which is a film I passionately love, by the way, which I'm sure I'll talk about at some point, whenever I feel like rewatching that. But I feel like Jaws established that less is more, and that you don't need to always show the monster. And I mean, it's true. It worked great for Jaws. It was groundbreaking, but I think that it almost became like a rule of thumb, or people felt like they needed to always adhere to that. And I really like that in Andy's direction, that nothing's really hidden. It's just there. Pennywise is there. All of his other monsters, his other creations, I guess, however you want to word it, they're always just in plain sight, and I feel like that's the terror. Especially if you're watching the film, imagining yourself as a little kid, like the stars of the film. All of it is terrifying already, and I think that something about the way he just shoots it, it's just so nightmarish and hypnotic, and the fact that he's not hiding it, I like that so much. And I like that I love the music of this film. I've said in another video, I'm big on scores, and I this score is special, and I use it all the I listen to specific, or I don't listen to it, but I like when I make little memes with my friends, or I send clips to people, and I love to, when I send people clips like on social media, I always put music. Again, I love music. And I always put the song in the scene where they're like in the haunted house. You know, I'll just show it.
Oh, thank fuck.
Where's Eddie?
So yeah, I just love that song. It's just so intense. It just really enhances that scene. And also a bunch of other scenes where there's like little kids singing like in a circus or something. It's like part of the score, and I love it. It's just so, it's freaky. It's really immersive. And I think that's also why I love the horror of this film, because Andy's using everything. Like there's a very distinct set design, like a grittiness to the world of Derry, and like Derry looks very cliche, but when it has to, some parts look very dark and gritty and dirty, and I love that. And then the music is just, it's just everything is working in an immersive way. I love how, from what I understand from the movies and from what I've heard from book readers, you know, Pennywise is he's just an entity. It's not exactly clear what he is, right? He's a shapeshifter. And I love that there's a very pristineness to the way he looks as a clown. Like it's unnatural. It's clearly not human. And there's a scene towards the end of the film that I noticed this time around. The painted lady, the painting of the lady that is freaking out the rabbi's son, when she like goes into the tunnel, and her hand is still there, and then Pennywise appears like smiling. Just the way Pennywise looks, it looks like a photograph moving. So it's unnatural, you know, like it's very intentionally artificial, and I like that. It's like Pennywise isn't of this world. He's not human. He's not a monster. Exactly. He's just a formless entity. I feel like Andy really understood that and made a lot of creative choices that really articulate that, even if it goes over most people's heads. And something that I really like, but I'm sure this is more of a Stephen King thing than an Andy thing, but I love how the adults are scary in of themselves. Like they're so unsettling. Like the overbearing mother, ugh, she's so freaky, so unsettling. And obviously like the pervy, Beverly's pervy dad, that guy, every scene with him, there's just so much tension, way more than even with Pennywise. And that's great, you know. I love when a horror film adds tension to every aspect of life, not just the scary scenes. But I like it in this film how they're not pointless and cheap scares, which I see so much in other horror films, where they try to make every scene tense, but with cheap horror, like a sudden knock at the door and then oh my god, or a cat pops out, you know, like just cheap scares. And I don't think you get that here. Another thing that I love about this film is the humor. Every time I watch this movie, I laugh out loud. And those little kids, man, they're such good actors. And the joke that always gets me is the placebos, when he's confronting his mom, and he's like, they're gazebos. Oh god, that's so funny. But yeah, there's an innocence to all the kids that it's so real, it's so funny, it's so just amusing to me. But yeah, I feel like that comedy is kind of a reason, just to wrap this up, I guess. That kind of is like my point, I guess, of why I love this film so much, is because it has everything. It has comedy, it has romance, it has mystery, it has action, it has horror. It's such a fulfilling cinematic experience, and I really really love that. Yeah, I hope one day I read the book. I really do, because I'm curious to see how Andy's part 2 of this film, how it transfers over in book in its original form. I wonder if maybe I would like it more. But yeah, just wanted to give my thoughts and just kind of ramble about this film for a bit, because again, it's one of my favorites. Even though this movie is really famous in pop culture, I still don't think I still haven't in my personal experience encountered people who really really love this movie. So I'd be curious if anyone else feels the same way, or if maybe you haven't seen it and you want to check it out or whatever. But yeah, just wanted to give my thoughts and just express that a little bit. Thanks for watching.